Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed Ukraine's counter-offensive against Russia has begun. Zelensky spoke at a joint news conference in Kyiv with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Zelensky stated it's important Russia felt they do not have long left, and the Ukrainian military were optimistic in their military operations. At the conference, Justin Trudeau also announced his support as well as a $500 million Canadian dollar aid for Ukraine.
Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine with whatever it takes, as long as it takes. Today, I can announce that we will provide $500 million in new funding for military assistance.
Save the Children have launched a campaign to keep children safe from floating mines in the wake of flooding from the Kakhovka Dam. Joining me live in Kyiv is Advocacy and Communications Director of Save the Children Ukraine, Amjad Yamin. Good morning to you, Amjad. Describe at the moment how it is looking where you are.
Thank you so much. The situation continues to be highly unpredictable for families, particularly in the south and east of the country. The flooding is just one more event in the last 1 year and a half that makes it a lot harder for families to just know what's going to happen next. We're talking about families who for 1.5 years have survived bombardment, possibly before that years of COVID, lockdowns, and right now the last little bit that they have, their own houses, their own community, is being destroyed by water. They just don't know what to do about anymore.
Yes, and we're just seeing on screen there, you know, the rising waters and the floating mines. We've heard, of course, posing the grave danger to children. According to the UN, more than 500 children have been killed during the war. They're expecting those numbers to be higher. Can you confirm that?
That is the sad reality that we have is 500 children confirmed, several hundred on top of that, if not up to 1,000 right now, are injured as well. More than 100 of those are because of mines since the beginning of the war. And we are worried that this number is just the tip of the iceberg because there are vast areas across Ukraine that we still don't have access to. And some children right now in Ukraine, particularly if you live in the east and south of the country, who are 10 years old, have always lived in wartime. This is their normal now. They've seen their schools destroyed. According to the UN as well, more than 3,000 schools have been hit or destroyed entirely since the beginning of the war. Hundreds of hospitals have been destroyed, and families just don't know anymore what's going to happen next, where to go, how to keep themselves safe, and what to look for the future.
And you mentioned, you know, children, their education. How is their mental health as well?
It's a scary reality right now. Mental health, you need to look at the individual specifically. But if you consider how much the families have gone through, children right now don't know what is normal. They are playing in bunkers when there's an air raid. Like it's a game. We are trying as much as possible to insulate them from the war, but it seeps increasingly into their lives. We hear from children who ask questions like, am I also going to die? Like my friend who I was playing with last week. We see horrible stories of injuries that leave children for decades ahead will still need medical attention simply in the last 1.5 years.
Tell us how many volunteers you have and what work they're doing to support the children.
Right now, we work across the country with a focus on areas with active hostilities. We do what we call child protection, which is essentially we try to provide safe spaces for children, particularly try and focus on their mental health. We distribute food, we distribute water, we help rebuild schools, rebuild homes. And right now, across the dam area, we're focusing on emergency supplies and particularly mine risk education. On top of everything, people need food, they need water, they need a place to sleep in, but now they have the new risk of mines that previously we knew where they were, for example, and people were avoiding these areas. Because of the flooding now, mines could travel up to a few kilometers and they still can explode even if they are underwater. They can be displaced into somebody's house, and it just poses a lot new risks to families that they just have no way of dealing with.
Well, for more information, people can head to your website and donate to Save the Children. Amjad Yamin, live in Kyiv, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.